that was their game to win. They had it, and they split it a number of times, and now they're going to be questioning the calls, you know, that it coming into game 3, because they made not one, but 2 completely bad calls that cost them the game, you know, with the Baron. They did great to get back into it. They gifted it to TCM. And it's a case of, okay, we got it back. Let's not do it again. We got the Baron. Let's keep on pushing. What the hell has just happened in the top lane? We've just gone and done it. We've just gifted them the whole game. And then you could see it when that Baron came around. Like we mentioned it. 3 of them were splitting up top. 2 of them were sticking. They were just unsure. Nobody was confident in their own call. Coming into game 3, that could be a big issue, because TCM both times have been on the fence, knocked backwards. You know, a knockout punch ready to come in. But they've just sat back, confidently played it out, and just they have confidence in that they can defend it properly. It worked wonders for them. I got to be honest, I still question Belgian Beast in that game, because I'm not too sure what he did. He got 3-0-7 at the end of the day, but that was only when the rest of the team were making plays. He wasn't exactly following Nuke Duck, but it turns out didn't really need to. Didn't really need to, picking up the win anyway. And that's, again, TCM been around forever as a team, done well, slowly getting better throughout this entire year, and we just see that they have, with this experience, quite happily behind in a game, knowing that Ninjas in Pyjamas, because they're a new team, could mess something up, could make one little call that leaves 2 men in the top lane and 3 men in the bottom, where they send 3 top and get those kills. And in a patch that we've seen snowball so heavily in some matches, World Finals, right there, ladies and gentlemen, snowballed so heavily. Royal Club couldn't sit back and take the punches. TCM figured out against Baron, fair enough, it's NIP, not SKT T1, but they rolled with the punches, they absorbed the damage, and they came out on top. Well, guys, we're going to head over to Shox and Crepo. Really interested to see what Crepo has to say about that one. A fantastic second game, great comeback in it as well.
Absolutely, guys. And as you said, rolling with the punches, Crepo. And maybe let's start at the first game of this series. And you guys at the desk at the beginning, you picked NIP as a favorite, and they really showed that in the first game.
Yeah, very phenomenal performance coming out of NIP there. They picked up a siege composition, and they just didn't give TCM any room to come back into the game. Because I actually, looking at the start of the game, I felt like TCM had the better lineup, they had the better fights, but the only issue they had is if they lost their towers early, then the double attack speed steroid on the Caitlyn, because they had Nunu, Nidalee, and Caitlyn for like this pushing and sieging. And then on the top of that, they had an Annie and a Lissandra for both engaging and disengaging. So it was a well-rounded composition coming out from NIP. And they took 1 tower down, went to the next, to the next, to the next, and there was just no room for TCM to fight back.
Well, going from game 1 to game 2, if we talk about those picks coming out, TCM went with the Nidalee and having that siege component in their team. And on the other side, there was for the first time we saw Lucian, and we saw that Annie also, again, coming out of midi, which could do a lot in the beginning, but NIP just seemed to lose it the second half of the game.
Yeah, I definitely respect NIP for changing it up. So they're playing an entirely different composition. This time it was all based around Sion as a possible counterpick to Nidalee in mid. He would actually push out, then group up with Higuraku bot and go top or bottom and just generally roam. And it works really good for the first 4 or 5 towers to get them down, because you'll end up diving everybody. JWoww actually got countered pretty hard in top lane. He got very far behind. But the combo that TCM had, again, they had siege because they had the Nidalee spears, the Varus Q spells for poke, so they could get him low, and then Kha'Zix could jump in and get the resets. Now, if NIP played the game correctly, they could have won it, just snowballing their early game advantage. And we've been talking about that Magi Soul Stealer. Was it worth sacrificing the power spike in Sion? I don't think it actually matters that much, because it was basically the decision making that lost NIP the game, rather than, and just TCM learning throughout the game. Like, they learned what they were doing wrong, they didn't get caught, they warded between the lanes, and they found out that NIP was actually disrespecting them in the end, because they had no vision between their lanes. And when Sion was trying to bait JWoww in the top, JWoww said, hey, they're gonna bait me, why don't I send 2 of my teammates around them, no vision, catch them. And yeah, just basically TCM learning throughout the game.
Yeah, very nice of them. And what do you attribute that to, the fact that NIP just doesn't have or didn't have the right decision making in that second half of the game? Because normally when your Jax is fed and he's able to split push, you should be able to seal the deal with that advantage.
Well, the problem is Kha'Zix could hold them, and they couldn't really split push all that well, because they had a very, very like all-in type of composition. They really had to go in and kill everybody immediately, and that didn't really work. Eventually, once they made one mistake, which they got caught in mid, they tried to circle around the TCM against Nidalee, I believe, and then Sion got caught, and then they snowballed the Baron off of that one. They basically broke their entire momentum, and by that late game, TCM's composition just was way better late game, but they had the safety of standing back and throwing spears as many as they want, Varus poke as many as they want until like one of them hit. Eventually they got Miffy again, and they took the map just by storm. And it just well calculated play by TCM, and I felt NIP's composition maybe was a little too linear in the late game to actually push it through.
Yeah, very good job by TCM. We're just grabbing that momentum back and talking about that momentum. How do you think it's going to pan out in that third game?
I think it's a wake-up call for NIP, and they're probably going to learn, like, what did we do wrong? Because they could have won that game as well, and I hope they ward a little more in between their lanes, just to see that the rotations from TCM not come out anymore. And both teams are very strong. I'm just really interested to see how Game 3 of JWoww against Zoro Zero is going to go, because it's definitely, the attention of the map is definitely pushing towards the top lane, and hopefully we see another 1v1 matchup, because those guys are really damn good at top lane.
Yeah, already a great series to start off the tournament here. Thank you very much, Crepo. As for us, we're going to take a short